Chapter 3. Mercedes. Monday mornings belonged to her father's business, and Mercedes had learned a long time ago that family business was a phrase that could mean almost anything depending on who was in the room. Today, it meant sitting at the head of the kitchen table across from two men she'd known her whole life. Reggie, who ran the West End corners, and a younger one named Dre, who'd been promoted up after somebody's arrest left a gap. While Willie D stood at the counter pouring coffee like this was any ordinary meeting, and not a conversation about money that hadn't landed where it was supposed to land.
"Say it again,"
Willie D said, not turning around.
"Slow this time."
Reggie shifted in his seat.
It's short. Ain't my count that's short, it's what came up from the block on Ellis.
"And who runs Ellis?"
Dre's people.
Dre opened his mouth to defend himself, and Mercedes watched her father's shoulders, the particular stillness that came over him right before he decided how serious something was going to be. She'd learned to read those shoulders before she'd learned to read a clock.
"I'll handle it,"
Mercedes said before Dre could finish his sentence, before her father could decide the day needed to turn a different way. 3 sets of eyes came to her at once.
"Give me the ledger. I'll walk it back myself, find where it broke."
Willie D turned from the counter, coffee in hand, and looked at her a long moment. Not doubt, she didn't think. Just the look he got sometimes, like he was recalibrating how much of himself he saw sitting in her chair.
"She'll handle it,"
he said to the room, like that settled something. And it did. After they left, her father sat down across from her with his coffee, quiet in the way he only ever was with her, never with anyone else in the family.
"You didn't have to jump in like that,"
he said.
"You were 2 seconds from making it ugly."
"Maybe it needed to be ugly."
It didn't.
She held his gaze, the way she'd learned to hold it, not defiant, just steady.
"You taught me that. Ugly is for when steady doesn't work first."
He almost smiled. It was the closest he came most days.
"Your brothers never had that in them."
He said, quiet, not quite meaning to say it out loud.
Rayshawn wanted to make everything ugly. Devin wanted to make everything disappear.
He looked at her like he was seeing something he hadn't let himself see in a while.
"You're the only one of you 3 who ever wanted to just fix it."
Mercedes didn't have an answer for that. She rarely did when he talked about them like this, in the handful of times a year he let himself. She reached over and took the ledger instead, because it was easier to hold numbers than it was to hold whatever had just passed between them. Neef. Jace's house always smelled like the same thing, cedar and old coffee, and underneath it, something Neef had never been able to name, except to call it waiting. Like the whole house had been built to expect news that hadn't come yet.
"You hear from your sister?"
Jace asked, not looking up from the paper he wasn't really reading.
"Sunday, same as always."
"She good?"
"She's good, Pop."
Jace nodded, like that answer cost him something to accept. It always did. Neef had stopped trying to figure out, years ago, whether his father was proud of Amani or couldn't forgive her, because the truth seemed to be both, tangled so tight together his father couldn't separate them even if he tried.
"You handling the corner on 5th?"
Jace asked, changing the subject the way he always did when Imani's name had been in the air too long.
"Handling it."
"Lil Chris giving you any trouble?"
"Chris don't give me trouble. Chris gives everybody else trouble on my behalf."
Neef almost smiled. It was true. Chris had appointed himself Neef's shadow since they were 7 years old, and there was something almost peaceful in how uncomplicated that loyalty was. No tangled wanting underneath it. Just a boy who'd decided a long time ago that Neef was his and never revisited the decision. Jace finally looked up from the paper.
You good?
He asked, and there was something underneath the question. Some old fatherly radar picking up static it couldn't quite place.
I'm good.
Neef said, which wasn't a lie exactly. It just wasn't the whole shape of the truth. The whole shape of the truth lived in a laptop under his bed, in 3 unfinished models, in a name, Mercedes, that he hadn't said out loud to anyone, not even Imani yet, though he suspected she'd know the second he tried, the way she always seemed to know things about him before he'd fully admitted them to himself. Later that night, Lil Chris picked him up for the 5th Street rounds, blunt already lit, music loud enough to fill the silence Neef hadn't realized he needed filled.
You been quiet lately.
Chris said, eyes on the road.
Like, quiet. Something on your mind?
Just tired.
Neef said. Chris glanced at him, held it a beat too long, then let it go the way he always let things go when he decided pushing wasn't worth it. Yet. He said.
You know where to find me.
Neef looked out the window as they passed Ms. Odessa's, dark and closed for the night, and felt something in his chest do a small, private thing he didn't have a name for either. End of chapter 3.